Welcome to Quarantine Lab Chapter 14. Today we're covering the spine. So we're going to begin with the spinal cord model, which I have here. Follow along with the pictures you labeled in your notes. So this rounded part is the front part. Back here, this is the back part. So you can always tell the front from the back. The anterior is the rounded part. And here we have the vertebrae, which are the bones. And then the spinal cord is in the canal that is inside those bones. So this is spinal cord. And we have the horns of gray matter. So if we hold it like this, it matches the pictures in your book and the pictures in your notes. Here's anterior, here's posterior. So here's the anterior horn, the lateral horn, and the posterior horn. And you can now fill in what the functions of those are. Then next we have our spinal roots. So here's the anterior root, here's the posterior root. This little swollen area is the posterior root ganglion. So now you fill in the functions. This part is the spinal nerve where the two roots merge. Then the spinal nerve splits out into branches. So here we have the posterior ramus, which goes to the back, and what does it innervate in the back? Here we have the anterior ramus, and notice it is bigger, it's thicker than the posterior ramus because it has more stuff that it innervates. So what does the anterior ramus innervate? Here we have the rami communicantes and the sympathetic trunk, and the swollen area here is the sympathetic trunk ganglion. And the sympathetic trunk forms this whole series here. And each swollen spot is a sympathetic trunk ganglion, and it's connected by rami communicantes. And which division of nervous system uses that path, the rami communicantes and sympathetic trunk? Okay, so here are some sections of spinal cord from a cow. And you can see spinal cord's not much to look at, and it kind of reminds me of those cheese sticks, you know, the mozzarella string cheese sticks. It's exactly what it looks like, I think. All right, so if you look very closely, I'm not sure how well the camera will pick it up, but do you kind of see the butterfly there? So you can see there's the gray matter, and because of the chemicals that this is preserved, it actually here it looks like the butterfly is white, but remember, the butterfly is the gray matter. This is all the white matter surrounding. It's just the chemicals change it to make the colors look off. So we have the covering. Here's a good view of meninges. You can clearly see you have this covering on here. Here's another good view of the meninges. So just like the meninges of the brain. Spinal nerves, we just have to kind of look around for those. So they're kind of collapsed from being preserved, but like here's some stumps of some nerves right here where they were cut off. And the nerve roots, so if you look more closely, sometimes we can find those. You just have to kind of dig around. There we go. There you can see those nerve roots. And the gray and white matter I showed you already with the butterfly. The central canal, it's kind of collapsed, but you can kind of see there if I poke it opens up. There's that central canal. And the two areas where cerebral spinal fluid occurs. So remember, it's made in the brain by the choroid plexus of the lateral ventricles. It goes down through the central canal to the bottom of the spine. And when it comes out the bottom, then it goes back up here between the meninges and the spine. Remember that subarachnoid space. Now we're ready to look at reflexes. And this you can do at home with a family member. If you don't happen to have a reflex hammer at home, you can probably find something around your house you can use, or you can even use the side of your hand like a karate chop. If you do this at home, make sure you go to that link and watch the video because you want to make sure you're doing it right and that you don't hurt your family member. So we're going to begin. Chloe's going to go ahead and do the patellar ligament reflex test on Lance. All right, so that is an example of a stretch reflex. And all of the ones that you're testing in this lab are stretch reflexes because when the hammer hits the tendon, it stretches the tendon. And then your body's reflex is to contract the muscle in response to that tendon being stretched. So the rest of the information you can fill out using your notes. And for the reactions, unfortunately, I forgot to bring that stuff home the day I was packing up stuff from lab and bringing home, so we're not going to do the reactions experiment. And back here, number 3, the plexus model, I also forgot to bring that home. It was kind of a hectic day when we were in lab grabbing supplies and bringing home and trying to think of everything I needed for the whole semester. So those are a couple of things I forgot to grab.